have any queries, you can ask now.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is Google Assistant a chat box?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you explain its working?
It's already explained. No, this is the method of Google Assistant, how it will executing. Up to this, I explained this method of communicating from the user input from the social media platform, and it will diagnose the data. Finally, it will respond whether can you continue the chat with the particular person or not. It will give the alert. If it exceeds the limitation, it will automatically goes to the parent. Again, it exceeds the limit, it goes to the control room. So this intelligent third party stuff we are developing now. It's in the we have completed near to 50 to 60% of the activity. So it will be a very big enterprise application. We received the fund for that.
Sir, there are questions in the chat box also.
Yes, it's easy. Just a minute.
So shall I read it for you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Instead of relying on principles of keyword matching and pairing with basic knowledge of sentence structure, what are other methods that are used in order to score more than 55% in the imitation game?
Only through the training. Without training, we can't able to improve the result. The confidence scores will be reduced. We need to give the lot of intents and the entities. So the artificial just only the machine learning gives only the optimal results only through the training. You have to give the training maximum.
So the next question, how can you ensure that your chatbot responds correctly to the questions customers ask?
This is one of the challenges I told you. One of the challenges, it does not understand the user intention. It will give the optimal result based on the training.
Thank you, sir. Next question. In your opinion, will any chatbot pass the imitation game in the near future?
May come. Actually, it's a Turing test is one of the challenge tasks. Turing test is a challenging task.
Yes, sir.
It's a role of chatbot in the anatomy. So, for example, you can develop a chatbot if you are giving the what's the purpose of I. So, what is the activities? What if any one of the disease? What are the disease? What is the symptom? So, these type of repository can be created and can be implemented for the teaching purpose. That's education purpose. Anatomy can be developed. So please have a significant of chatbot and online classes, online tutoring method. So online foreign languages learning. This is one of the enterprise application. This artificial intelligence application is not developed with using you can't have to develop with using simple dialogue for it's an enterprise application. You need to use the machine learning and the deep learning technique to improve the training process. Because of if you are giving any natural language statement, it should be understand, it should be complete all the NLP process, and the data should feed to the deep learning model, and the deep learning model identify the suitable structure, then it will get the response. So the individual online class will be very simple classes may be developed, but complex or advanced level application, it will be enterprise application, it will be implemented only in through the RASA framework or any one of the enterprise open source or enterprise application framework. Yes, it will be useful. So in future, most of the companies, it's a lively lesson. It's a lively lesson. Instead of video is one type of, now we are using for example, if you're taking the Coursera or if you're taking there's a content with using the multimedia, there's a text, video, audio, animated, everything is given. But it is not a conversational. But if you're giving the conversational, if you're giving any query, it will give it will come as a human being, it will communicate with you. So this is a tokenization. Say if you want to the natural language processing, if you want to tokenizing, then you have to convert and make it as a meaningful sentence. This NLTK is very important. So the conversion, this already the parsing, The refresh pausing already explained. It's a very lengthy. It will go like this. It's a package is available. You can use the Python package if you want. It's a separate area. It may take time to explain the each and every process of NLTK processing. This natural language processing is a separate, it's an excellent domain, which will now it's not a new domain. Now it's getting the boom. So deep learning, the chatbots, then there's that means sentimental analysis. All these technologies focusing on this NLP. Yes, it will break the sentence and analyze word by word. It consists sequence of process. If remove the words, stem, lemmatization, and pattern matching, everything is there. Stage by stage.
Is there any more questions? Else we can pass to the next session.
Thank you. Shall I continue or need a break?
So if you need a break, you can take. We are running out of time. We are having only 1 more hour to close our session.
You have to discuss your parts. So I am ready to continue.
No, sir. We are all right.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Just open the. I hope it is visible now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see.
So, welcome to the second session. I hope the first session satisfy your need. Similarly, we will discuss the second session. So, one of the important technology which will lead the industry now to develop any type of enterprise applications. If you are developing a small application, it's not a big or it's not a very challenging. If you are developing enterprise application, it may take 2 to 3 years. So you're familiar with the software engineering life cycle, the use of software engineering stages and steps begins with user requirement analysis and ends with implementation. So up to user requirement analysis and implementation, it may take stage by stage process, near to 6 to 7 stage process based on the life cycle. If you're one phase you're collecting data, this is that collected and that is a separate team collect the data. The implementation team and the infrastructure is different. During the implementation, the total project will not satisfy the customer. Simply you can see the picture, you can understand the what I'm going to tell. So initially the customer expected or explained their project in different perspective. The project leader who is collecting the data, requirement analysis and send the data to project leader, the project understood different manner. The programmer and analyst understood the different. Finally, the business consultant convinced the customer in different perspective. Finally, the documentation is different method. While you are implementing, it will not support in the existing infrastructure, and 50% of services will not satisfy the end user. What the customer expected is not there. Only it satisfies 50%. So 50% of product is failure. The technology is outdated. The project is maybe outdated. The technology may be outdated. This service may not be used. So for that purpose, the system need to introduce a new technology to develop a project. We are studied they have studied the software engineering. So as a basic computer science students, without knowing the software engineering concept, you can't able to get into the next level of development stage. So the software engineering step-by-step process, which is used to develop a product, or you can call it as a project. It consists of 6 sequence stages, begins with study, that's a feasibility study, and ends with the system implementation and maintenance. So in the classical waterfall model is a basic fundamental software development lifecycle model. It consists of 6 phases, begins with feasibility study, requirement analysis, design, after approval of design, then coding, then here, then coding, then after that you are doing the testing process, in the unit testing, integration testing, finally system testing, then finally implementation and maintenance. This is step-by-step process. So in the 6-stage process of development of product, multiple employees are working, multiple teams are involved. Begins with the requirement analysis team, project development team, implementation team. I'm telling only the major teams. And that means infrastructure management team, operational team, so a tester. So these are different teams. So you can see if you're developing a simple IT, major 6, the 5 important teams are involved. The requirement analysis team, development team, the tester team, operational management team, then IT infrastructure management team. So all these teams are involving to develop a project. You're familiar with that waterfall model. After completing the data feasibility study, then we are going to next step. Then feasibility analysis, requirement analysis, then you are developing the design. So once after completing, then only we are moving to the next. So what are the advantages of using the waterfall model? This is very easy and simple, because of once it's completed, the team work is over. We can very clear the data collection and very clear the requirement analysis. There is no pending. The system is very clear, very easy, very simple. Easy to manage, because if it is rigid model, after completing the requirement analysis, then only we are going to the design step. It's a very rigid model. We can't able to skip that model. Once if you're completing that model, then you can go to the design is over, then you can go to the coding process. So each phase has a review process making it less vulnerable to errors. It's an advantage. Yes, already each and every phase collected, reviewed, and if there is any error vulnerable, immediately it's rectified. Once at a time, after completing, then only you are moving. It's reliable for this small project. What are the disadvantages? If you're taking any lifecycle model for adjusting in the software development lifecycle model, the basic fundamental step is waterfall model. If you're taking the test stage, in the major disadvantage, if your application in the testing stage, it gets really difficult to go back, because already the total process is over. If you want to make any changes in the development stage or in the design stage or in the customer requirement, it's difficult. It creates major issue. And also, it's a risky process. It was difficult to diagnose and provide the feedback after completing this system. These are the major disadvantages of waterfall model. Next, in the developer perspective, in the operational executive perspective, in the infrastructure management team perspective. From the developer point of view, after development stage, then only we are moving to the code. So the development time, then code time is different. There is no interaction. After development, the code development time will be very huge. So it will take them up to design time. Then the code time will be idle. They will sit idle. They will not implementing the process. So the pressure work on own load. Once the coding stage, the pressure will be increased, because of in the short duration they need to complete. So the pressure of work on old, pending on the new code, was very high, because of the development and the deployment time was very high. After analysis, the development stage and the deployment stage is very high. So the challenges they are facing, it was very difficult to maintain up to 100% uptime production environment. I already explained. It's very challenging, the 100% uptime production environment. The infrastructure automation tools now was not effective because of during the requirement analysis, the infrastructure requirement is different. During the implementation, the infrastructure requirement is different. It may not be suitable for your system. It may be outdated. So infrastructure automation tool was not very effective. The number of servers monitors to keep increasing with time and enhance the complexity. It takes more time to complete the project. It's very difficult to provide the feedback. To overcome this issue, to avoid this type of limitations, the Agile software development technology is introduced. So the Agile refers is an incremental approach along with the Waterfall model. So, but with the iterative approach, along with the focusing on customer feedback and small rapid changes as well as releases. It basically breaks its products into smaller divisions and finally integrates them as for a testing process. This is an iterative process. So what are the advantages? It prefers to take the customer feedback throughout the project. So now most of the second level companies are using the Agile technology. Every weekend they will discuss with the customer if they are getting the customer feedback. If there are any issue, immediately they will rectify the system. So it prefers to take the customer feedback in the Agile software development. Now most of the companies are using the Agile. It prefers making changes. Yes, if the customer want to change to do any process, yes, they can make changes. But it's an expensive cost. We need to understand that's and the ability to scale is possibilities. And continuous attention is there. We can understand what are the technology, what are the design thing. The customer can understand, the team can understand, the company can understand, the customer, everybody know the clear understanding about the system. And they can, each and every feedback system, they can understand the prioritize, and they can prioritize their work and can schedule their most valuable feature of the implementations. This small and dedicated teams are involved with the high degree of involvement and coordinations. Those are Agile team, the advantages of the Agile technology. So it has the iterative process, begins with requirement, design, development, testing, deployment. Review again, it's a continuous feedback mechanism is there to analyze the system. So the drawback is the prediction is very, very poor. There's a less prediction, requires more time and commitment about the testers. So each and every time the commitment and the testers, the developers, the customers must interact with each and the other constantly. They need to interact. Only the limited document. So the every iterative, the document may be upgraded or updated. So initially the document is very limited one. And the time of the planning time is very minimum at the beginning stage. So the first draft, it goes to this first draft of design, first draft of, so it's a minimum time. This is another disadvantage of this. So how the fulfill the gap between the waterfall model and Agile? The waterfall model, there is a gap between the customer and the developer. So there is no interaction. Once they submitted the data, the developer, they're developing the product and deliver to the customer. Finally, it may suit, may not suit. We can't able to understand or identify. So there is a gap. If you're following the Agile method, there is a close, the gap is bridged with the developer and the customer. But there is a gap between the operation and the development team, the implementation infrastructure team and the development team. There is no relation. So there is a gap in the Agile team. There's a drawback. So the customer requirement and the developer tester gap is bridged with using the Agile technology. To bridge a gap between this developer and the customer, the Agile technology is utilized. And there is a gap between the developer and the operation. So the developer testing and the implementation infrastructure operations, there is a gap because of after completing a product, if you want to implement, the infrastructure will not support. So there is a gap. So to fulfill the gap, to bridge the gap, the new technology introduced, there's a DevOps. There's a developing and the operation. So there is a gap. This gap should be automated. DevOps. So the Agile methodology focusing on the collaboration, customer feedback, and the small rapid change. The DevOps brings the developer and the operation team together. Once, if they want to this type of infrastructure, yes, immediately they will respond to the infrastructure team. So the three teams are continuously integrated. So customer and developer and the operations. All these teams sitting together and they'll identify the solutions. The Agile technology do not focus on the automation, but the DevOps completely, the primary goal of the DevOps is automation, which will increase the efficiency of the deployment. So the Agile technology main focus is the development. The DevOps technology, the main focus is development and the implementation process. That means after developing, it must test and implement the system. The Agile technology overcomes the gap between the customer and the developer. The DevOps overcome the gaps between the developer and the operation. So again, just I will explain that in detail. Just I will the Agile technology breaking the barrier between the developer and the management. The DevOps is a software bridge about the software development and the operation team. It bridge the gap between or address the gap between customer requirement and the development team. The Agile technology more focus on the functional and non-functional performance accuracy side. It will not concentrate on the operational efficiency, but the DevOps concentrates on operational efficiency and the business outcome side. The Agile train all the team members to have variety of similar equal skills, but DevOps implements the divide and conquer skills. It consists of proper communication to all the development team and operation team. DevOps consolidate the deadlines and benchmark with the major releases, each and every releases. Okay, while you're implementing, what are all the challenges are identified in the DevOps division, that is development and operation. So what are the challenges involved in the development side? What are the challenges in the operation side? And what way DevOps give the solution? In development side, waiting time for the code deployment takes more time. Waiting time is large. The pressure of work on old pending on new code. I already explained this, the challenges in the development side. So how it will be overcome? So the DevOps suggests the continuous integration and the deployment method. The continuous integration and the deployment, one of the stages involved in the DevOps. It ensures there is a quick development of code, faster testing, and speedy feedback mechanism. So the time is reduced. There is no waiting time to deploy the code. Hence, the developer focus on the building of current code. So the continuous integration and the deployment. Next, operational side challenges. There's a difficult to maintain the uptime production environment. Whether you need virtualization or what type of system infrastructure. This issue can be solved by the DevOps with using the containerization or the virtualization. It's a simulated environment which is used to run the software as a container. Here DevOps uses the container instead of the virtualization. It uses the container to give the great reliability for the services. Next, another challenge is tool to automate the infrastructure. How you can automate the total infrastructure? This is another important thing. Here, one of the configuration management. This is a continuous configuration management tool will help you organize and execute the configuration as per schedule, as per plan, consistently, proactively manage the total infrastructure. So it will manage the total operational infrastructure. In the operations side, there is no server to be monitored. The number of servers are increased. In the and the difficult to diagnose and give the feedback about the product in the operation side. The DevOps gives the excellent monitoring support. There's a continuous monitoring tool is there, which effectively monitoring the system and gives the feedback. It has built a lot of software, integrated automation software, Nagios. It's effective administrative solution. So DevOps supports the agile infrastructure and agile operation. So applying the agile and the lead approaches to operation work. So DevOps and consists the development and operation agility. All stages of development life cycle when creating and operating a service, and how important operations has become increasingly service oriented. So it has the agility in the development of the operation. DevOps is the practice of operation and development engineers participating together in entire service life cycle up to product implementation. That means from design to development process to product support. So it consists of two important processes involved in the development process and the operation process. It promotes the collaboration between the development and the operation. It increased the operational or organizational speed to deliver the application, to deliver the product and services to the customer. It allows the organization to serve their customers better and compete more strongly in the market. In the short duration, time is very minimum. What is DevOps? So DevOps is a software development and delivery process like a life cycle. Software development and delivery life cycle, or you can call it as process. It consists or emphasizes communication between the team, collaborative with the product management, software development, and operational professionals who are involved in the developing a product. Then why the DevOps need all? Before DevOps, the development team and the operation team is isolated, completely isolated. The testing and the deployment were isolated in the activities. Without using the DevOps, the team members are spending large amount of their time in testing, deploying, designing instead of building the project. So most of the time spending unnecessarily. So the manual code deployment leads to human errors in the production. So we need the automation system to implement the service or the application. DevOps consists of a set of methods and a set of changes in the processing. It consists of practices in each and every role of players, that role of engineers, the organizational structures and tools that increase the ability to deliver the application at high velocity. Then why DevOps? That's faster in marketing. If you're developing the DevOps, it allows the agile development teams and implements the continuous integration and the delivery. If you are satisfying this continuous integration delivery with agile, it gives the faster time in marketing. Increase the quality. The failure of the project is very minimum. Increase in the organizational effectiveness. It helps to launch the product very fast in the market. Like predictability, it's a very lower failure rate in the new release. And reproducibility is a version, everything, so that earlier version can be restored at any time. It's an iterative process. You can it's a continuous process. So if any one of the failure occurs in that life cycle, it can be restored at any time. Reproducibility is possible. Maintainability, without any effort, the process can be easily recovered in the event of new release, crashing, disabling the current system. And time to market, it reduces the market to market up 50% streamlined software delivery, and improve the quality, that's greater quality, improve the quality of application development, reduce the risk of the developer and operation infrastructure managers, reduce the defection rates if it is automated, resiliency. The system is more stable in the operational state if you are implementing the DevOps stage. And also it gives this good security, and if any changes, it's auditable, it's recorded, the log is created, the feedback is recorded, it's the complete system is maintained without any challenges or issues. It's complete resilient. That's a cost efficiency. It offers cost efficiency in the development process in the IT company's management. Breaks the larger code base into smaller base. It's the agile programming method. It's a stage-by-stage improvement. It's a continuous process. It's excellent approach for quick development and the deployment of application, and response very faster, decreasing the software delivery time. If you are following the DevOps, it decreases the software delivery time, and the transportation cost is also minimized. It improves the customer experience and satisfaction. So these are all the advantages of DevOps. It also has some limitation and drawbacks. It needs professional and experts developers. Very, very less experts are available in that field. We are expecting the expert. We need to developing with the DevOps is so expensive. The tool, if you are taking the proprietary, the tool, the automated tool is a little bit expensive. If you are using the open source, it's a complex. You need to develop, you need to configure. So the excellent expert developers are required. It's very shortage in the market. So adopting the new technology into the industries is very hard to manage in short duration. So already the system is stabilized. If you are switch overing this new integrative technology, automated technology, it's any challenge. The lack of DF knowledge can be a problem in the continuous integration of automation product. The DevOps applied a lot of companies now the most of the companies trying, that's Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, HP, Adobe. Companies are top leading companies are using the DevOps technology to develop their own product. The DevOps market size is forecasted to grow approximately, if you're comparing 2018, $3.4 billion in 2023, it may rise up to $10.3 billion. The market size across the globe is estimated to reach 12 billion, approximately near to $13 billion in 2025. So what are the steps? So these are with this condition, we need develop a system. So what are the steps involved in developing the software, DevOps technology in developing a software product? It consists step-by-step process, like a software development life cycle. It consists 8 stages. Begins with the planning with code. So the developer build the code on any platform. Then you build the version of the program with any extension. This is a continuous process. DevOps cycle is it's a continuous life cycle. Next is test. It supports all testing, automated testing process like Selenium. We'll discuss later. Then release. After completed first code development, build, the continuous build is possible, test the product and release the product and deployment. Operate, finally monitor. Again, if there any issue, if any feedback received from the system, plan to solve the issue, then again continue the revise the code process, build. This is a iterative continue process. Code, build, test, release, again develop, operate, monitor, plan operation. So the architecture starts with the code. The developer, after receiving the requirement, is developing the code, build, test, release, deploy, operate, monitor. If there any feedback, again it plant, code. This is a system of DevOps architecture. So what are the responsible, what are the major components involved in the DevOps developer side, in the operational side? In the developer side, they're developing the code, the first step. Then they will build the code. They can continuously build and deploy it. So code, build, then test, then if there are any issue, then it continue the plan process if receiving the feedback from the operation side. So build code, build, test, lead to the operation side. The operation side, release the code, then deploy then operate, monitor the system. If there are any feedback received, the plan accordingly, then the code build, that means code, build, test. This is the process involved in the development operation side. Next, what are the principles you are following? You are developing the DevOps operation. The customer care centric action. So it must take, the team must take customer centric action, whether they should constantly invest in products and services. Next one is end-to-end responsibility. The team need to provide performance support until become end or the delivery of the product or end of the product or end of the life. It enhances the level of responsibility and the quality of the product engineered. Then continuous improvement, it focuses on the continuous improvement and reduces or minimizes the waste use. It continuously speeds up the improvement of product and services. It automates everything in the process side, not only the development, also in infrastructure side. So infrastructure as a service will be provided in the DevOps side. So work as a team. So here the designer, developer, tester, they are involving as a team, as a single team. They need to do work in a single team to complete the collaborative task. The monitor and test everything. It's very important to do robust monitoring and testing process. The benefits of the tools, if you are using the DevOps tools in the development side and the operational side, it reduces the deployment times near to 80 to 90%. So approximately 12 hours reduced to 2 hours. Within the 2 hours you can deploy if you are using the DevOps tools. Reduce the cost and the time of delivery. Improve the development productivity. The 20% is automated and the early detection of defects is possible. Improved code coverage. 35 near to 95% of code coverage is possible in testing. Reduce the regression life cycle from month to days. Improve the quality of the product. That's automated system, automated cost and time to test. Increase the quality and reliability. Reduce the defective cycle time. Finally, this, from that discussion, you can understand that DevOps is the software development and implementation or the operation approach. It consists the continuous development, continuous testing, continuously integrated, continuously deployed, monitored of a software throughout its development life cycle. So these activities are possible only in the DevOps, not in the Agile or the Waterfall model. So it's continuously automated. The infrastructure is automated. The process is automated. So this is collaboratively involved. Reliability is improved. Security is there. So this, if you're taking the real-time scenario, it delivers the value of customer. So in the perspective of customer side, it minimizes this time. So if it is minimized the time, the customer can focus on the core business activity, and also the developer, they can focus on their business logic. So there is unnecessarily they're not spending any other activities. Then reduced cycle time. It's continuous improvement and fast release cycles. Time to market, reduce the complexity of the process, so that within the short duration we can complete the product and deliver the product. So continuous integration. So the individuals may see the integration. So if there are any issue or if any productive issues there, immediately it will be solved in the integration process. And continuous testing. If there any environment is not supported in the first phase of that review, immediately it will be solved. Like a virtualization, sometimes it will take the most resources. The host system will get struggle. So the virtualization system is replaced with the containerization. So this DevOps supports the containerization with the Docker. So the Docker supports that facility, the container facility. Then continuous delivery, this ineffective production is monitored with using the automatic performance management tools. The best practice of the multiple number of applications. They're running servers concurrently. They are using the Ansible Tower DevOps services to manage and schedule the cloud environment. One of the examples. In the banking sector, I'm listing only the few examples for your catchy purpose. The Royal Bank of Scotland, they are a lot of customers they are integrating services. They are integrated. They identified a lot of challenges. They're integrating this service virtualization tool. The insurance companies in the US, that's NJM, it's a well-known, famous insurance company situated in the New Jersey. It's completely automated all the services claim process, streamlined the total process. So it reduced the complexity and minimized the overload in the deployment. So total deployment is automated in that. In the retail, NIS is one of the excellent e-commerce service. They're implementing the excellent based on the cloud services, and the fully automated, complete, continuous integration and delivery is coupled. Then travel automation, the travel Amadeus, they are using the Docker service. They're running the cloud. This is a very huge travel agency. They're running the multiple number of, there's a huge number of users. They're running the OpenShift and Docker Kubernetes. One of the limitations is this, it's very challenging to run the mission critical applications like bank transactions. One of the challenging because of sensitive data dealing is very challenging. Power, another is it's a little bit challenging. Then what all the tools can be used? So each and every phases of the development life cycle uses the tools. Some tools are proprietary, some tools are company owned, developed, some tools are open source. If you're taking with the code can be developed, managed and shared by the JIT. It's now one of the well-known use of the code sharing repository, code development repository is GitHub and the JIT repository. Now we can develop the code with using the Eclipse. It can be easily integrated with the DevOps services. Then Jira, these are all coding services involved in the tool involved in the DevOps side. And another thing is next, if you're moving the test side, you can use the Selenium, Vagrant, SOAP UI, JUnit, all of the testing units. It's a well-known testing unit. Then built, there's a release, each and every stage has the servers are configured with using the Ansel, Salt Stack, Puppet. This is a Chef is a well-known automated configuration tool used in the infrastructure as a service. That means server automatic configuration used to a Chef tool. Then continuous integration, continuous development release tools are Jenkins, is one of the well-known integration tool. Bamboo, GitLab, these are all integration and development tool. Then monitoring, virtualization, containerization is Docker, AWS, then Nagios, Spunk, these are all. Orchestration tools are Zookeeper, it's a well-known tool. So these tools can be used. So top DevOps tools used in the industries now, GitHub, Git, because of it's one of the well-known version control system, a tool which help to track the changes in the source code during the software development process. So Git and GitHub repository management. Next one is you can use, we'll discuss on this, Docker, Jenkins, Selenium, Puppet, Chef, Ansible, Spunk, Nagios, and Prometheus. These are all the well-known top tools. Then DevOps engineers. What's the role of the DevOps engineers? The lot of tools are available. The familiarizing the each and every tools by the DevOps engineers is very challenging task. So the writings and the specification of the document for the server side features. So the engineer must give the clear specification, clear documentation for each and every features. The continuous deployment and integration management is another important role of DevOps engineer. Performance assessment and monitoring, and infrastructure management. The infrastructure management, one of the important service involved in the DevOps engineer. So the services like they need to have monitor the hardware, software, network, data storage, data center usage, data center facility involved, virtual access and the remote access, wireless access and the wired access. So they need to analyze all the infrastructures services and the cloud deployment and the management assistant for the development. Then what are the already I explained, this is a continuous development, continuous testing, continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous monitoring. We'll discuss one by one. So in the continuous development, in the continuous development side, we have to plan based on the feedback received from the first phase. The first initially, they are planning based on the requirement analysis stream. In the second stage, they will plan accordingly the feedback received from the monitoring committee. So the planning and the coding. This is a continuous development process tool engineer's role. So the planning and the coding. The code may be in any language, should be maintained by the one of the version control tool. The language of development is different. The maintenance of the code in the tool, the repository, the tool, the version control is maintained by the Docker service. Or here it's we will discuss Git service. So the tools, the well-known tools used for the continuous development, the Git, SVN, this is a super version, and CVS, that's a concurrent version system. So all these systems are used. Tools are used for continuous development. There are two types of version control management systems. One is a distributed, one is Git. So one of the important tool which is used to continuously updating the data. So It's used to manage a project consisted of files. They change over the time. It stores the information in a perfect data structure in a repository. The Git repository consists of a collection of all project files with the history to access effectively. It's a free and open source distributed version control system designed to handle everything from small to very large projects with the speed and efficiency. It relies on basis of distributed environment, distributed development. Initially, this system is developed by the Linux kernel, Linux downwards in 2005. Git working directory is a full-fledged repository. It allows a team of people to work together, all using the same files. It helps the team cope up without any issue. Multiple people are editing and sharing in the same file and accessing the files. So the version control software allows the user to have their own versions in the project. So the version management is very important to show the changes where made the code change occurred over the time. It allows the user to backtrack if it is necessary and undo the changes. The changes would be saved just in time, fractional. It creates a batch file that can be applied in one version. All versions are stored in the server effectively in a secured manner. The individual developer check out and they upload the changes back to the server. There are two types of version control. One is distributed and another is centralized. The distributed, the copy of the data is shared to the workstation. The workstation repository have the copy of data. They will work together and finally they will push the data to the server repository. In the centralized, there is no local repository in the workstation. All the data is maintained in the server only. This centralized version control repository. So this Git service enables the communication between the developer and the operating system, communication effectively. It supports a distributed development and decentralized process. Automatic garbage collection is there. Compatibility with the existing system and existing protocols. Efficient handling of large projects. Microsoft, Amazon, LinkedIn, Accenture, Facebook, Yahoo are using this Git services. It executed as the key value pair to store the data and retrieve it. The values with the SHA security algorithm, that's a secure hash algorithm, the hash mechanism. All the commits, files, tags, file system stored as a tree nodes in the hash repository. The repository is a very large hash table with no provision made of hash collision. It's a large repository. You can share the repository, access the user repository, store the remote copies your repository if needed in the Git. There is a difference between the Git and the GitHub. Git is a software. GitHub is a service. You can register your own GitHub. You can store your data set and you can share with your colleague. So GitHub is a service provided with a unique. Git is a software. Git is installed on the local machine. GitHub installed in the web. You can use the Git command line tool. Now the desktop Git is available in Windows system. You can install the desktop GitHub. You can easily pull and push the data through your local system to your cloud cloning. And you can pull without any issue with using the desktop hub. This is a very effective mode. You can see the keyword like this, desktop GitHub. So then GitHub is a space to upload the copy of Git repository. It provides functionalities of a Git like V's version control code management system. The Git provides the version control management. If you want to work with, you can download the GitHub account in the web browser. You can type GitHub. You can create your account and you can push data and you can, if you want to share, you can share with You can share with, you can maintain the document as a public. If you want to share with your team, yes, you can create with the team. You can, if you want to share with the public, yes, you can share with the public. The option is there in the setting. You can do it. And if you want to simplify your process, you can use the GitHub Desktop. It will reduce your burden. It will be give the ease of use. You can create a new repository. You can sync the repository with your GitHub repository. If you're doing any task in your local system, it automatically updated in the GitHub repository. It's the benefit of GitHub Desktop. You can easily do that services. Next, the continuous integration. The developers request to commit the changes to source code more frequently. So it should be continuously integrated with the existing code, building, packaging code into the executable. So commit, build, test, and you have to develop each and every process. The well-known tool used for this is Jenkins, and TeamCity, Travis are the tools used here. Mostly companies are using the Jenkins tools. It's an open source continuous integration automation tool written with using the Java. It consists of a lot of plugins to integrate purpose. It builds, tests your software continuously. It can easily integrate with the testing software, like he can integrate with the Selenium. It's easy to install. It consists thousands of plugins free of cost, built with Java. So the developer can develop and commit the changes in the Git repository. Jenkins server checks the shared repository at periodic intervals, and every check-in it is pulled and then built. So Jenkins server, it can be automated. If you are doing, if the developer doing any changes, it commits in the repository, automatically Jenkins server build, and again it's tested by the Selenium server. This Jenkins automatically integrates with the Selenium, deploys the built-in application test server and production server. The third important is continuous testing. Tested by the developed software continuously for the bug identification with using the automated testers tool. The quality assurance team need to test the multiple code bases through parallel to ensure that there is no flaws in the functionality. So Jenkins, this is one of the excellent integrations tool. Then Selenium test ng creates the report. I can use the JUnit and production is successfully operated. So the Selenium is one of the open source testing tool. You can do the automation testing with using the web browser. The test script can be written in any programming language like Java, Python, PHP, Ruby. The tests can be using any one of the operating system like Windows, Mac, Linux. It can be tested in using any browser like Mozilla, Firefox, Chrome. It can be easily integrated with the testing reporting unit like test ng JUnit. It automatically excellently create the test case report and generating the effective report. Can be integrated with the Jenkins, and also it can be integrated with the Docker. So Docker is one of the deployment tool. After testing, you have to deploy this code in the production server. So the configuration management is act of establishing and maintaining the consistency of the application functional requirement and performance. This tool play a crucial role in the development stage. The containerization is one of the important role placement. Tools help produce consistency development, testing, staging, as well as in the production environment. For the configuration process, we are using the Chef. It's an automated configuration tool. If you are doing any, automatically to identify the configuration system. Puppet, Ansible is an excellent configuration tool. You need to undergo that. The containerization is Docker and Vagrant. Then how you can containerize using the Docker? The Docker is used for build, ship, and run your software anywhere. This is a lightweight tool which uses the container to pack up the application with all requirements and dependencies. It's used to package the application with all dependencies. Easy to create, deploy, and run. It's launched in the 2013 by the .cloud, written in the Go language. So the system need not worry about the infrastructure as Docker, can easily scale up and scale down the number of systems. So the Docker image will take care of it. The Docker, you can use the Docker container with any language. You can zip the container to any environment in cloud also. Scale up with any number of nodes. Mostly now the Uber, eBay, New York Times, Oxford Press, PayPal are using the Docker container. Why we are moving the content towards the from the virtualization? So the virtualization importing the guest operating system on the top of host operating system. This is a simple usage of virtual operating system. So you can run multiple operating system in different virtual machines, all running on the same host. The advantages of this virtualization is multiple OS can run on the same machine. Maintenance and recovery is very easy. Total cost of ownership is very less. With the reduced infrastructure, but it has some limitation in the virtualization while developing the enterprise application. So the running multiple virtual machines leads to unstable. Sometimes it's unstable in the enterprise application, so it leads to a lot of challenges. Hypervisors are not an efficient for the host operating system. It may get unstable at any time. Then boot up process is long and takes very time. It takes time. So then we need to move for that, to avoid that issue. We are moving the containerization. So the container as the container engine instead of hypervisor. So the container able to run virtually anywhere, greatly easy to deploy and develop and deployment. It can be any operating system like Linux, OS, Windows, or Mac in the virtual machines. So if needed, the Docker client can request the Docker host in the Docker daemon. It takes the image and it will place in the container. It will execute. So it uses the pull and run the Docker image. So the containerization, the container contains only the application-specific libraries. It does not consist any hypervisors, which are separate from the container. So they are very fast. It's very lightweight. Do not waste any resources. All these containers are handled by the containerization layer. There is no native in the host operating system. So the advantages are the containers on the same OS kernel are lighter, very smaller library, better resource utilization compared with the virtual machine. Boot up time is very low. So the Docker is one of the containerization platform tool which packs all the applications and dependencies single component and ensure your application works in any environment. The components of Docker includes its client, server, images, files, registries, containers, all the things. While you're creating the Docker creates 3 types of networks, bridge. Through the IP, if you're creating the bridge network, through the IP, you can access this service. Host network and non-network. The advantage of Docker, improve the speed, portability, scalability, and then the 5th stage is continuously monitor. You have to monitor the performance of the system continuously, which is used to identify the error, such as a low memory, server not reachable, like that. So this continuous monitoring tool need to detect the server problem, root cause issues, security problems, infrastructure issues, and it must respond automatically. It must fix the problem. It must analyze the infrastructure. It must monitor the entire infrastructure. For that, we are using a lot of tools. Here, Splunk, ELK Stack, Nagios, New Relic, all the tools are used. You can use, if you can familiar with Nagios, it's one of the excellent automation monitoring tool. And also continuous feedback, continuous operation management services are available in the DevOps services lifecycle. The continuous monitoring Nagios, is proactively alert if there any problem rises. It runs on the server as a service with the server agent architecture. You're familiar with that. You can use a simple plugin to send the information to the scheduler services, which is in the GUI mode. So with the life cycle, so it's a continuous process, continuous development, continuous testing, continuous integration, continuous monitoring, all the process continuously with using the automated tools. So DevOps kicks the automated. So the automation kickstarts from the code generation to code deployment and monitoring. All the service should be automated. So from the code generation on the developer machine until the code pushed to the code after the monitoring application and the system in the production. The system should be completely automated to reduce the time, improve the quality, improve the accuracy, to boost the speed, improve the consistency, improve the high accuracy, need the reliable system, increase the number of tailwalls. For that, each and every system, that means integrated with the automated tools like infrastructure automation with using the AWS, it consists the automation tool. Configuration management with the Chef automated configuration. Deployment automation is Jenkins. Performance management app dynamic is easily adopting that automation services with the configuration tool. The single infrastructure tool can be configured, create a manipulation file to automate all the tasks, log management with the Splunk, monitoring with VGS. So infrastructure as a code, as a service is an important thing. While cloud technology transformed the total infrastructure, now DevOps changes in the software development and deployment. So we need to automate as a service, like a cloud service. Now the infrastructure as a code given as a service and is the management of infrastructure as a service, very simple code service. You can manage the infrastructure like network, virtual machine, load balancing, and connection. All should be managed as a code. Can be used as a versioning mechanism used by the DevOps team in the source code. This infrastructure as a code knowledge is the basic prerequisite for the DevOps team to understand in your organization process management. It's a practice for describing all the software runtime environment and network settings, parameters in a single text format file and stored in the virtual version control machine. And it will be called as manifest file used by the DevOps tools. Terraform, it's an automation tool, Terraform and Kubernetes automatically manage the provision, configuration, building server, testing, staging, production, all are automated as a code, as infrastructure as a code. This allows the system administrator to automate the process setting like Azure is the provision of infrastructure management dependencies, AWS cloud formation, Puppet to deploy the huge cloud workloads. Chef is a popular infrastructure tool. Ansible, Terraform, so open source infrastructure as a code tool. It combines with tools like Chef and Puppets. The benefit is improve the system performance, software delivery at high velocity without any easy, safer and efficient change management, scalability. It improves the customer satisfaction. This is the benefit of the infrastructure service and DevOps. Thank you. Now I open the forum to discuss the question. Due to time constraint, I have two examples demos. Skip by that. It's a JIT, another one is DevOps. You can easily go through the, you can download the JIT desktop GitHub. You can download and you can configure yourself. You can easily, you can sync your system folder with your cloud GitHub folder. If you're doing any upgradation in your system GitHub folder, it automatically updated in the GitHub repository. So this is the first tool you can already familiar with the GitHub. So if you are entering with the GitHub facility, you can easily adapt in that DevOps environment. In future, all the industries are moving the DevOps technology to reduce the time, improve the customer satisfaction, to reduce the cost and everything. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Open the forum to discuss.
Hello. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Dear participants, are there any queries relating to DevOps? You can ask. Participants, if there are queries relating to DevOps, please ask. You can also type your question in the chat box.
It's one of the new technology. Maybe students may identify it's one of the new technology, but it's not a new one. But it's you may hear it's a new one, but it's in future. You studied software development life cycle. You studied agile technology. Now we are moving towards DevOps. It's one of the leading technology in the industry. If you want to adapt in the industry, you must know the familiar with the DevOps technology. Just you can identify the tools, any one of the, you can identify any one of the open source tool in each and every DevOps lifecycle, and you can familiar with that. If you are familiar with the open source, you can easily understand all the configuration settings and the process setting. So initially it may get some struggle, then you can overcome the issues if you're a student. But if you're an expert, you can easily adapt that usage of in the project development. Thank you. Thank you, Nandal. If there are any questions, we can discuss. Otherwise, we can conclude this session. I'll leave the forum. Ma'am? Hello? Hello? Are you line?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Participants, are there any questions? You can type in the chat box.
I explained each and everything. Its main benefits, there is no delay.
Sir, there is one question.
Yeah. What are the main benefits using the DevOps? There is no delay in the product delivery. The quality is improved. Everything is automated. The 100% product of outdoor delivery without any issue. It satisfies the customer need. That are benefits there. The only challenge is the developer, the engineer must undergo the tools and technology. Thank you. Thank you. If you want to become a DevOps developer, first you learn the life cycle first. What I explained is the beginning is okay. This fundamental is okay. Already, if you know the software development life cycle process, that means software engineering. If you studied software engineering concept, then if you're familiar with that, that's the basic concepts of software development life cycle stages. If you're familiar with Agile, then you can move to the DevOps engineer. If you want to develop, you must know the stages of each and every life cycle. Then you select one tool in each and every stage. You understood. Then you automate everything. For example, Selenium is one of the excellent software automation tool. You can use it individually. Then GitHub, you create your own GitHub and you can sync with your own system and you can work with that. You can develop your own undergraduate project or postgraduate project. You can share with your teammates with using GitHub. So it will encourage. So you fix your own time. You can monitor. So this is the method of you need to identify the tool and learn yourself. It's sufficient. A lot of tools are there. A lot of tutorial pages are there. Thank you.
So I think we can wind up the session.
Yes, ma'am.
Participants, the link of the feedback form will be displayed in the chat box. You have to fill the feedback form so that you get the certificates. And for winding up the session, I propose the vote of thanks. I express my sincere gratitude on behalf of our college and department to you, sir. The session was very informative and the student oriented also. I think it was very going to the very basic details so that the students can grasp everything, and I think they can develop their own chatbot product by attending this session itself. Next, I thank principal and management for providing the opportunity and infrastructure for the smooth conduct of this webinar. I thank all the faculties and friends and students from various colleges for participating in the webinar and hope they have gathered knowledge from the same. Next, I would like to thank and express my sincere gratitude also to Sister Miranto, especially for introducing you to us, sir, and very thankful for that. Next, I thank my colleagues for supporting me throughout the smooth conduct or organizing of this webinar. And I would like especially to thank Sneha and Alfie for helping me in this conducting of this webinar, and also my students, alumni who have participated in this webinar to make it a great success. Last but not the least, I thank the God Almighty for His blessings for this event to be a great success. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I express my heartfelt thanks to the father of Christ College and the team, the HOD of the Department of Computer Science, and the faculty members, and the very patient participants. Here to 3.5 hours sitting, listening patiently. I express my heartfelt thanks to all the participants for listening patiently. Thank you. Thank you, one and all. Thank you. If you have any doubt, you can contact me at any time. I share my mail ID and phone number. If you have any doubt, you can call us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
To the participants, fill the feedback form within 1 hour. It is also available in the YouTube live. And thank you and I wind up the session.